All right. It appears that we are live. Hold on just a second. All right. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, this is 5 scary albums, favorite ones that me and Gary are going to be talking to you about. Just to make your Halloween season a little more fun. That way, you don't have to always just listen to the usual suspects of what people like to listen to at Halloween. And I'll let Gary start off the show.
Yeah, I was just say, how many times can you really listen to the Monster Mash and Thriller?
I know, but
um,
there's some people that like to do that.
oh yeah, I used to always do mixtapes for Halloween parties too, and that it's fun. But let me say before I start, I don't really think of any albums as scary, just as I don't really think of movies as scary, because I don't tend to get scared by stuff like that.
Right,
But and for the albums, some of the albums I picked are not really scary music wise, but it's the lyrical content that makes it scary. And I'm sort of going to
right,
start from the least scary album and go to the most scary. I was wrestling with what order to do them in and decided that's probably the best way to do it. And so I'm going to start with Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds, which, I mean, if you know the story, War of the Worlds, invasion from Mars, and they wipe out a lot of the planet. And Jeff Wayne's adaptation stays pretty close to like the novel version of it, which, set in the 1800s or whatever. And it's got so many people on it. Richard Burton does the narration. You got David Essex, Justin Hayward, Phil Lynott, Chris Thompson. I mean, it's amazing. And I had this when it was first out on a vinyl double album in like 76, 78, something like that, and
right,
fell in love with it. And it's a product of its time. Some of the music tends to lean a little towards disco, at least in terms of the bass lines on it.
right.
Um, but it's an amazing rock opera with a lot of spoken parts mixed in with the musical parts, and it tells pretty much the whole story of the book. um, and it's just a really, really good album. Again, I don't think it's necessarily scary, but the story itself is pretty scary if you think
Yeah,
about it, put yourself into it. I mean, a huge percentage of the population gets wiped out. So
pretty much.
yeah, so it's a really, really cool album. So Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. That's my first choice.
Yeah. If you remember, in 1938, Orson Welles got himself in some big trouble when he did his adaptation.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is that story, if you do the research on it, that story is kind of apocryphal, because it probably didn't really cause the panic, but newspapers were really, really worried about radio at the time. And so they were running stories to trash radio. And so a couple newspapers sort of made up the story and ran with it.
Right.
But it was still, I mean, it was a cool story anyway. It was
Oh
cool when
yeah.
Orson Welles did it. I mean, it was cool when it was written by H.G. Wells. I own several different movie versions of War of the Worlds, and I like them all.
Oh yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah. My dad actually had the record of the Orson Welles one, and
And,
we used to,
you know,
we used to play it every Halloween.
I found this website where I can buy used records. And I've been buying a lot of used records lately. And I just yesterday ordered, they had that one on there, the record of the Orson Welles thing. And I just
Oh
ordered
yeah.
it. It'll probably be there end of the week. I'm looking forward to getting that so I can hear it.
Right. Yeah. Right on Halloween.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my first one uh, is Alice Cooper's "Welcome to My Nightmare."
That's a
Uh,
classic.
uh, it's classic Alice Cooper, and then plus you got Vincent Price doing some narration on it. I mean, obviously the title track is what everybody knows,
Right.
but there's other ones that I enjoy. The combination of Years Ago and Steven
Oh,
is
that is
so
creepy.
creepy. It is so creepy, and it is just perfect for this time of the year. I mean,
I remember I had a friend who was a huge Alice Cooper fan, and I didn't really care for Alice Cooper, and he loaned me a bunch of his albums, and it was that two for combination right there, those two songs together, that made me an Alice Cooper fan when I listened
yeah,
to
yeah. I had this on cassette years ago before I even knew what any of this type of music was. I just liked the fact that there was Vincent Price talking on a rock album, and uh, and I also do believe that this was the first Alice Cooper solo album.
it. Yes, it was.
So it had a very uh, it was a little more orchestral in parts
Well,
than
it has a lot of
previous.
Bob Ezrin all over it, you know?
Yeah,
You sort of can't miss that Bob Ezrin thing.
yeah, and but that's one that I love listening to it. I never get tired of it. Um, and I mean, for people that are into rock music, that's a perfect thing to. And even if they're into just music in general, that they like to listen to different styles, it's good. I mean, uh, I do have a bunch of his other stuff, but I know that a few of his albums came out in deluxe editions with a 2 disc set, which I
Yeah.
think I eventually want to get because on some of his albums, this one and Billion Dollar Babies, some, to start with. But this is my first pick for everybody out there. You can see that nice cover. He looks like he's a nice
Oh,
little
yeah.
showman.
I have a t-shirt with that picture on it, actually. It's getting kind of worn out, but
I'm sure you could probably find on Amazon or eBay.
yeah.
People got even if it's
I got it during one of the concert tours, not that tour, but much later he had a tour and he had that picture on it, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta have that one.
oh yeah. All right, back to you.
Okay, well, I am going to go this time, and I had to look up some information on this one because I didn't actually remember. So I'm going to bring up my phone so I have this info that I looked up. But this is a band that I tried to get into for a long time, and it took me a while to really appreciate them, and I finally get them. Ice Nine Kills, and this is the this is the I brought up the wrong one. This is the Silver Scream 2. I was thinking about doing the first one, but I did the second one. Um, so this is Horrorwood. This is actually the sequel to the other one. All the songs on here are based on horror movies, and I looked up the wrong one, so I've got the wrong information. But I know we've got Psycho. We've got a song based on God, I'm trying to remember all of these on here, but um anyway, this is a really cool album. Now they're sort of a hard band to get into. I don't know if you've heard much of their stuff, but
No, I haven't, but I heard of them.
they're very unusual. One of the things I like about them, but it's also one of the things that makes them hard to get into. And from a prog point of view, you will appreciate this. Is the music tends to just sort of go from here to here to here to here, and it's just like all over the place in unpredictable directions. And it makes it hard to get into sometimes. The other thing that I wasn't so torn or crazy about at the beginning is that some of the clean vocals sound a little overprocessed and poppy almost. But yet they've also got like extreme metal vocals. It'll go from like this, cinematic sort of mellow section to just driving serious extreme metal thrash like death metal and
Right.
all kinds of crazy stuff. But they say everything on here is based on horror movies, various horror movies. And it's a real, once you get into their stuff, they're certainly not for everybody. They've got a lot of the extreme metal vocals. I am not usually a fan of that, but I've learned to appreciate it in some acts. Theirs is one I can
Right.
take it in. Um, and it's just it's bizarre music. It's everywhere. Don't get used to it being in any one place for very long, because it's gonna they'll be all nice and mellow, and then all of a sudden it just hits you over the head with a sledgehammer. But but like I say, on that one, all the songs are based on horror movies. So it's really cool. Yeah.
That sounds good. All right, my
By the
next one.
wait, let me go back to one thing. My favorite song on there, and probably my favorite song from them, is the shower scene, which is the one based on Psycho. But I love Psycho, so
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
yeah.
All right, my next one was here we go, Daemonia live from Los Angeles. It was a Dario Argento tribute to the movie Zombie, which was basically in the United States, Dawn of the Dead. The keyboard player from Goblin did this more prog metal version of the songs, and kind of gives them a little more life. I mean, you got a DVD to watch the concert, which I found out someone ripped it, so it's on YouTube. So I think this is out of print.
Ah,
Um, and there's a CD that has some bonus tracks. One of them from the very first Goblin album, Roller, which was a non-soundtrack one. And what's cool on on the Blu-ray, I mean not the Blu-ray, the DVD of this, is you got music videos where if you remember that movie Profondo Russo, or Deep Red,
mhm.
with the killer is that little puppet, and well, they have the band being killed off one by one, and and then it turns out the killer uh, was Dario Argento.
Oh, nice.
So it was a really fun music video. I don't know if someone ripped that too. I know they ripped the concert, but it's an amazing. I mean, if you also look up the band on YouTube, they have other ones where their full blown concert that they did in Italy about around the same time, and they even have operatic singers for the certain parts that are in opera mode, and it's really good. For prog metal fans, for Goblin fans, horror movie fans, prog fans, I mean, it touches all the bases right there. And Dawn of the Dead. I mean, if you
Yeah.
love the Italian version of Dawn of the Dead, you have the Goblin soundtrack. It's amazing. I did not get to see this. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I was held up because I had some feet surgery the year before, and it just wasn't healing right. And I was so bummed out because I would have loved to have seen that. So that's my second pick.
Nice. So for my third, I'm sticking with heavy metal and going with King Diamond Abigail, which
Oh yes,
I don't know if I mean, for those not familiar with King Diamond, pretty much his entire catalog is like horror stories set to music.
yeah,
Um, and he's another one. He's got a voice that you've got to kind of learn to appreciate. But my God, the guy's got range. I mean, and
oh
he's
yeah,
he's technically skilled, and he's got these musicians in his band. They do like amazing prog metal that sometimes is technical metal, sometimes it's mellow, and it's just sort of all over the place. And this story is just a very creepy story. The whole album is a concept album. I mean, it starts with a funeral, so and you've got a family ghost, and you get all this possession, demon or possession by the ghost, and who is a witch, and it's pretty amazing stuff, and it's definitely good for Halloween listening.
Yeah, I had that on cassette many years ago. I haven't got uh, never upgraded myself to CD, but I think it's about time, you know. Because yeah, like you said, he's got that. I mean, he could go to those high registers, and then he plummets down into a deep. It's almost like he's possessed.
Yeah, I mean he almost sounds like that sometimes, and he will literally just jump from way down here to through the stratosphere. I
I
mean,
know.
the only one I can think of with a range like that is Rob Halford, and even he doesn't do those just massive jumps like that very often.
Yeah.
He's a
Oh
little
no.
Halford's a little more restrained, shall we say.
Yeah.
Uh, King Diamond's just sort of all over the place. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. All right. I'm gonna stick with the soundtrack. Um, I got Suspiria. Now this is the Blu-ray that had the two discs, and then it had the soundtrack on it. Suspiria was one of the very first Italian horror movies that I ever watched, and then at the time I did buy the CD, and I had no idea Goblin was a progressive rock band. I just loved the thing where started off with that the witch, where it's like the guy's going witch, 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 and it's just so spooky. So this is a great album if you dare to shut off all your lights at midnight and listen to it, if you dare, because you are going to start uh, being creeped out with all the sound effects that the band does, and but it's just so beautiful. I mean, I just love that it doesn't have to be. I mean, not saying anything bad about heavy metal. It doesn't have to be extreme like that. It could be these little subtleness
Right.
that kind of get unease underneath your, like get your skin crawling a little bit. But if you get this was done on Synapse, so if you can get this version, it's I, I mean it's kind of like I'm doing a 2-in-1 here, the movie and the thing. I mean, you got the movies here and the CD on this side. I think you got the two different Blu-rays, the feature film and the extras, and then of course you got this nice little booklet. And this happens to be a steel book, and I know it's also been released on 4K. So, but the colors, if you hadn't seen this one or you haven't seen Suspiria in a long time, the colors pop out even
And
more.
that's the original, not the remake, right?
Right. This is the original from 1977. I have seen the remake. It goes a different course, which is kind of cool. But if you want more creep value, the original. And of course, Dario Argento's movies really didn't have a solid story. It was just more cinematography.
Yes, weaving together cool images and cool scenes into something that sort of passes for a story.
Right, but it's fun. I mean, they're absolutely fun. So that's my third pick.
Okay.
Really good.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for my fourth. I'm going to revisit someone you've talked about already. And I had thought about going with something like Welcome to My Nightmare, but I decided to do something a little more outside the box and a newer thing. And I went with Along Comes a Spider by Alice Cooper.
Oh.
This one is it has a lot of that creepy sound to the music, but it's a concept album all about a serial killer who collects the legs of his victims and uses white silk to connect them together. And so they call him the Spider. And and you know the way a lot of Cooper is, you've got little sound clips and things, and there are little clips where he's talking about them finding his diary, and then there are news clip reporter clips, and it's a very, very creepy album, and the story is creepy, and it's there's something that's like a scene. You can hear one of the sound bites in there is like, and I haven't looked this up. In fact, no, I'm sure this came out in no, I don't know what year this came out. Oh, 2008. So yeah, this was after Silence of the Lambs. So there's sort of
Okay.
a scene that sort of recreates one of the scenes from Silence of the Lambs, because you can hear he's trying to get he's saying he needs help getting something into his van, and this only the girl goes, "No way, you creep," and walks off, and he's like, "Oh, you got lucky, you got away." And
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's a very, very creepy album. It's you know, a lot of people haven't paid attention, I think, to a lot of Cooper's more recent output. He still does really well live, but I'm not sure how well his albums do. Um,
Right.
but he's put out a lot of really, really good stuff in the 21st century, and that is one of the better albums of the bunch.
Right.
I highly recommend it, especially if you like the creepy side.
Yeah. Sounds. Yeah. I got mostly his '70s stuff. I didn't get into that. I haven't got his new wave stuff that he did. Those two albums. I
Special
heard some
Forces, Zipper Catch.
fleshed.
There
Yeah.
was also Flush the Fashion, Zipper Catch a Skin, and Special Forces were all kind of new wave.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
Flush the
it's still.
Fashion was awesome, actually, but
I think he was like really into getting heavily medicated, so
yeah,
he was kind of wasn't sure the direction that he was going, but it was still Alice Cooper.
oh yeah,
I've still seen some videos on YouTube with that. So
yeah. I like stuff. I've got probably 80% of his albums. Um, so you know, from all the whole time of his career, and so I've got a pretty good sampling, and I'm been a fan, you know, the whole thing,
yeah,
the whole catalog.
he kind of stays consistent in
Yeah,
a way.
but you know, he has albums that are a little bit of a letdown. There have been a few albums I haven't been really crazy about. The last few he's done, I haven't been that crazy about. Paranormal was good, but the ones leading up to that, I wasn't that crazy about. The one after that, Detroit Stories or something, I
Uh,
haven't bought it. I heard it and I didn't think it was that good. So
right.
I never bought it. But you know, he's had some that are sort of eh. Even so, it's always Alice Cooper.
Yeah. All right. Well, my fourth pick is it may sound Italian, but they're not. Morte Macabre. It's called Symphonic Holocaust. They are two members from the Swedish band Anecdoten
Oh, okay.
and two members from a band called Landberg.
Oh, okay.
Both. Uh, they basically their style of music is in the Goblin vein. Uh, they each uh, of the 8 songs, there's 2 originals, but they cover like I guess the opening for City of the Living Dead, an Italian movie. The Beyond. Then they do Rosemary's Baby. That was basically the only well known out of those for mainstream people. Uh, Beyond Darkness, which is a very creepy uh, movie that kind of dealt with in the necrophilia. Then uh, Cannibal Holocaust, the opening that has this really, some very beautiful, sweeping orchestral type music, and it's like for this ugly of a movie. I mean, I've seen it twice, and that's really all I needed to. It's pretty,
Yeah.
gruesome. And then they did 2 original tracks, a short one, and then the title track, Symphonic Holocaust, which kind of sums up the whole style, the Italian horror movie soundtrack music, and this is one I bought when it came out in '98, and I listen to it every Halloween because it's just so cool. And it's always I've tracked down all but one of the movies from this. There was this exploitation movie from 1983 called Golden Girls. Not the TV show. This is something I have not seen that movie. I am not sure I would want to because it sounds like it could be something in the soft horror range, and that just doesn't interest me.
I say, can I make a comment about the Golden Girls?
Yeah.
I have said, and if anybody wants to take this idea and run with it, it would be fun. I have said somebody, you know how they've remade some old sitcoms and other shows as horror movies? I thought the Golden Girls would be perfect for a horror movie. You could either make them a group of vampires or a coven of witches.
Oh, yeah, that would be kind of cool. That is a good idea. All right. Now it's your last one.
Okay, my final one. Now, this one actually really does sound really creepy, especially like in the opening section. There are some parts that are just like really chillingly creepy. It's a band called Nox Arcana, which is basically one guy, Joseph Vargo. He's got another guy who works with him, but Joseph does like just about everything. He's got one other guy who was a musician on it, but and this is Necronomicon, which is based on the works of Lovecraft. It's like gothic electronic stuff, but I mean there are some non-electronic instruments, and the vocals on here, when there are vocals, are either like chanting type stuff or spoken, and it gets really, really creepy. He does all of his stuff is sort of in that vein. It's all really suited for Halloween background stuff. I remember one year they were selling his CDs at Spirit Halloween.
Oh, wow.
So it's like that. And this one is just, I have a special place in my heart for this one because of the whole Lovecraftian thing, and he adapts a lot of the Lovecraftian mythos to it. Also because when I did Strange Sound of Cthulhu, I did a chapter on this album, and he actually let me use. He redid some of the cover art, and I used that for the cover of the book. He was gracious enough to let me do that. So
cool.
It has a special place for me. But yeah, it's a really, really good album. If you want some creepy, not in your face stuff, it doesn't get super loud, but it's really, good atmosphere, and it's just an excellent creepy album.
I had a few of their albums they sent me years ago for reviewing on prognaut.com, and they're still up there. The website is basically in cobwebs. I'm one of these years I really want to do something to get it revamped, at least so it people can go and look at it. I mean, I don't think I would go back to doing reviews like that, but I would like that to be at least like an archive. And they send me, I think, quite a few of their. I think Joseph sent me quite a few of his stuff, and I can't find it.
Oh, jeez.
By
the way, something we could talk about off air sometime is the thought of, I did all the Music Street Journal books are available issues are available as books now. That's something you maybe could do with Prognaut, and if you wanted to, I could help you do that.
Oh yeah,
release them as books, and if nothing else, at least you've got them for your bookshelf. Even if nobody ever buys them.
That's true. That's true. All right, my final one is the debut from the Alan Parsons Project, Tales of Mystery and Imagination. All the different works of Edgar Allan Poe. Again, this was another one that I got on cassette years ago in the 80s, and I didn't know that they were progressive rock. I just loved the fact that it was Edgar Allan Poe, set to music. you got The Raven, The Telltale Heart, Fall of the House of Usher, and so many others. And this particular one is a deluxe one that was done in '87, but it has since they've put out a super deluxe one, I think 2017, as part of I believe that was the 40th anniversary. So, no, 2016. So, got 2 more years for the 50th of this. So I might as well hold out for something like that, because I mean, it has his usual people that work with him, Eric Wolfson. And then he had on vocals someone named John Miles, and then Arthur Brown from The Crazy World of Arthur Brown.
Arthur Brown. Wow.
Now, this is I would say, the most progressive out of the Alan Parsons.
The most symphonic, for sure.
And the most, yeah. And if, again, it's perfect for this time of the year, or in the autumn in general. I mean, get that going for you.
Yeah, I owned that on cassette, and I own it on vinyl now.
Yeah, and I like that it's got all the nice pictures in it.
Oh yeah.
And then, open it up, you got the remix version, and then the original one from 1976. So
that was his debut album, right?
Yeah, that was the debut, and it is a lot different than his other than the next stuff out. Tends to be, I mean, I love it, but tends to be a little more polished and a little more accessible.
Was that iRobot was the next one?
iRobot was the second one, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, great stuff. I mean, if you love Edgar Allan Poe, here's right there. Like you got the Necronomicon for the
for Lovecraft. Yeah, it's kind of perfect that we ended with Lovecraft and Poe.
Yeah, and
we didn't even plan it that way.
No. This is perfect way. If you could track down, the Nox Arcana and this one to listen to, out of all of them, I think that those ones would be perfect for the season.
I agree.
But all the others, I mean, I hate saying it. If you can't get them in time for Halloween, you can always stream them. But try to purchase them in some physical media, because that really shows not only the artist, but it shows whatever's left of the industry that people still want physical media.
Yep.
And streaming is great too, because for the convenience, you're out with someone, you're not going to bring your record collection with you. You're not going to bring your CD collection or your cassette collection with you. It's great. You got them on your phone. You can do it that way. Or
I don't really listen to music that way, but
there's some people. I once in a while do that when I'm away from my house, but pretty much I listen to everything on my computer.
If somebody releases a new music video and you can't get the album yet, and I'm interested, like I listened to the new Dream Theater song the other day, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I'll do that on YouTube, but generally I don't listen to music on streaming at all. It's CD, vinyl. I'll listen to the radio, but
Oh yeah.
And like you said, I like to buy the stuff because you need to let them know there's still a market for it, so they keep putting the stuff out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just like we always talk about that with movies. You buy the physical copies, it helps them be more inclined to keep putting the physical copies out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It makes it easier. And plus also the fact that you get to own it.
Yes.
Because the one thing a lot of people don't understand, whether it's music or movie streaming, or whatever your favorite song or movie, it may not be there tomorrow.
Yeah, it can go away at the whim of somebody in an office somewhere.
Yeah.
But guess what? I have this. I can put it in anytime I want. I don't care if
Yeah,
they continue to offer it, you know?
right. So that's just the beauty of it. I mean it. I mean, I get it. The younger generation just wants something quick and easy, but we want tangible stuff.
Yep.
You know,
The
but
streaming's much more convenient, but
yeah,
yeah.
that's really all. I mean, if you just leave it at that, that it's a convenience. That's not a replacement.
But McDonald's is really convenient, but I can guarantee you can get a better hamburger if you make it yourself, or if you go into a sit-down restaurant and order a hamburger.
Exactly. That is so true. So, well, we got 10, 10 albums for everyone out there to go check out. Hopefully, if you got a record store near you, you can go and see if any of these are in your record store, or you can use Amazon or eBay, whatever is the easiest for you to find stuff on.
I would say record stores tend to be a lot more common than they were 10 years ago. There's a really
Yeah,
good chance you've got one near you.
yeah, and then if that's not the case, there's a website called Discogs where
Yes.
you can buy stuff off there.
And you
Um,
can get some really good deals on there too.
yeah,
And
yeah,
get the stuff within a few days.
yeah, yeah. So if you find one of these things on Discogs and you order, let's say you order it today, it'll be here at your house.
Probably by the end of the week.
Yeah. So
Plenty
a
of
lot
time
of
for
different
Halloween.
options, plenty of time. All right. Well, I want to thank Gary for joining me. Gary, just so you know, Gary is part of my other channel, Movie Knots, where we talk exclusively about cult classic movies from different genres and different eras. So I'll put a link down below for that so you can check out. We got 15 episodes, well, 14 with a 15 one coming out on
One
the
goes up
19th,
on Friday, yeah.
next Friday. So got a lot of movie
We've
choices
done
there.
15 of those already.
I know, it's amazing. Um, so again, thanks, Gary. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you
having me.
taking the time out.
Absolutely. It
And
was fun. You had me at
yeah,
scary.
that's scary. There you go. Yeah, because scary Gary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, and guys have a happy Halloween season.
Happy Halloween, everybody.